OnePlus 3 is one of the most hyped phones of the year, and it is a really great device. However, there are some other phones which have similar flagship grade specs, premium design, and they are even cheaper. I'm talking about the LeEco LMAX 2. This is Linus. Find out which phone is better for you in this full comparison review. Just before we start, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos if you haven't already, and follow TechLineHD on social media for the latest updates. These two Chinese flagships are similar but at the same time different. Both sport all-metal design, but LMAX 2 uses plastic on top and bottom for antennas. It's not a big deal, but the OnePlus 3 uses pure metal except for those NASA-injected antenna lines. The OnePlus 3 has a smaller footprint and it is thinner than the LMAX 2. Obviously, the size of the phone depends on the display size. The LMAX 2 has a 5.7 inches 2K LCD panel, whereas the OnePlus 3 sports a 1080p AMOLED screen. Both panels are protected with Gorilla Glass and they are sharp and vibrant, but I prefer the AMOLED display on the OnePlus 3. It is brighter, punchier, and it has the colors that pop. Just above the displays, we have 8-megapixel selfie shooters on each device and notification LED lights. The OnePlus 3 has an edge here as its LED light is highly customizable. Both phones have nicely backlit capacitive keys, but the OnePlus 3 gives you a lot of freedom. You can customize the keys the way you want or simply switch to the on-screen navigation buttons. Right in the middle, we have a home button which doubles as a fingerprint scanner, and it is one of the fastest and most reliable scanners I've ever tested. The LMAX 2 has the fingerprint sensor too, but it is placed on the back. It is fast and accurate too, but it is not always that fast as the one found on the OnePlus 3, if you want me to be very picky here. Each phone has protruding camera sensors because they are pretty powerful. On paper, it seems that the LMAX 2 has an edge. It has a 21-megapixel Sony shooter with optical image stabilization, f2.0 aperture, face detection autofocus, and dual LED flash. The OnePlus 3 has a 16-megapixel snapper with all the same numbers and optical image stabilization, but it has only a single LED flash. The buttons are nice and tactile on each phone, but the OnePlus 3 has a notification slider, which seems like a little thing, but it is really nice in practice. The LMAX 2 has some extras on its own. The Air Blaster allows you to control devices like TVs. Both phones have dual SIM card slots with a 4G support, but neither of the devices have the microSD card slot for storage expansion. The loudspeakers sit on the bottom, and the LMAX 2 has a slight edge here. The sound is a little bit punchier and slightly more balanced. You have to know that the LMAX 2 is one of those devices that does not have a 3.5mm headset jack. Instead, you have to use the supplied adapter or Bluetooth earphones. I have to tell you that the sound quality via the earphones is very good and the volume output is loud. The sound quality via earphones on the OnePlus 3 is good too, but it is not as good as the one found on the LMAX 2. The sound is not as balanced and the volume output is lower. Overall, both phones look and feel premium, but if I had to choose one, I would take the OnePlus 3 since it can be better managed in one hand and it is slimmer and lighter. Both devices sport top-notch specs that include Snapdragon 820 processors. The OnePlus 3 comes with 64 GB of internal storage and 6 GB of RAM as standard. My LMAX 2 has 32 GB of storage and 4 GB of RAM, but you can choose the top-end model with 6 GB of RAM and 128 GB of onboard storage. As expected, both phones can handle anything you throw at it, whether it would be 3D games or just swiping through the user interface. Speaking of the user interface, we have completely different approaches here. The OnePlus 3 runs on the homebrewed Oxygen OS, which resembles stock Android 6.0 but brings a ton of neat features and customization options. The LeMax 2 has a highly customized EUI, which is built on top of Android 6.02. The user interface also has plenty of customization options, but it looks a lot different and it may resemble the iOS to some users. Both phones are super fast on daily use, and you can be rest assured that there will be no lags or hiccups. However, the OnePlus 3 is a little bit faster overall. In fact, it is one of the fastest smartphones on the market right now. Both phones have great cameras for the class, but the OnePlus 3 tends to take better images. The pictures look slightly sharper from edge to edge of the image, have more detail, the dynamic range is handled better, and the colors look punchier. The low-light camera performance is better on the OnePlus 3 too. The images have more detail and less noise. Also, the colors look more natural. This is 4K video sample with the OnePlus 3. The OnePlus 3 shoots better videos too. Its 4K video looks sharper, it has more detail, and the colors look more natural. However, the continuous autofocus is still not as graceful as we would want to see. This is 4K video sample with the LeEco LeMax 2. The LeMax 2 does a better job with the continuous autofocus, but the footage is not as sharp and the colors tend to look a little bit washed out. If you still prefer shooting 1080p video, the LeMax 2 is a better phone as the footage looks a little bit sharper. Both selfie shooters will definitely do the trick for social media. I didn't have any connectivity issues with neither of the devices, but I've noticed that the OnePlus 3 has a slightly better Wi-Fi range. The OnePlus phone has a 3000 mAh battery that can be fully charged in just 1 hour thanks to the dash charger. I could constantly get around 5 hours of screen on time on a mixed use, which is a really good result. The LeMax 2 has a 3100 mAh battery, but it has to power up a larger and more pixel-dense display. 4.5 hours of SOT time was a maximum result I could achieve on a mixed use, which is a decent result, but I wish LeEco implemented a larger battery into this great phone. On the days when the phone ran out of juice, I could fully charge it in 1 hour and 10 minutes with a supplied fast charger. So there we have it, two great budget flagships of 2016. The OnePlus 3 has a slightly better looking display and it is more compact. Also, this phone has a better camera, the stock looking user interface that I prefer over the EUI, and a slightly better battery life. On the other hand, the LeMax 2 has a larger screen with higher resolution and a better sound quality, both from the internal speaker and via the headphones. It is safe to say that the OnePlus 3 is a better phone overall, but the difference is not significant. Knowing the fact that the LeMax 2 can be bought for just $299 US, which is $100 less, it is a great phone too. At the end of the day, it all comes to you, if the advantages and better overall package of the OnePlus 3 are worth $100 more or not. It was Linus, thanks for watching, and if you guys have any questions, please drop me a comment down below, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, follow me on social media, and see you in the next video soon.